Do you wake up more than once at night just to pee? Maybe you're standing there in the dark bathroom, half asleep, trying to go, but nothing comes out right away. Or when it does, the stream is weak. You feel like you're not emptying fully. And even though you're tired, you lie back down and know, deep down, you'll be back up in an hour or two. If that sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. In fact, millions of men over 60 live with this kind of nightly ritual. They chalk it up to aging, shrug it off, and just try to deal with it. But let me tell you something that most doctors don't say clearly enough. This isn't just age catching up with you. It's not just what happens to men after 60. And here's the part that's hard to hear, but important. These symptoms might be your body's way of whispering something that needs your attention. And what's even more surprising is that the things quietly making this worse aren't in your DNA, they're in your daily routine. The habits you've lived with for years, maybe decades, can slowly build pressure and inflammation in your prostate without you even realizing it. Not because you've done something wrong, but because no one ever explained how these seemingly harmless choices could be adding up over time. This conversation isn't about blame. It's about understanding. Relief doesn't have to come from surgery or pills. Often, it starts with awareness of what your body's been trying to say and a few simple, practical changes that restore balance. You deserve to feel confident, rested, and in control again. So, before you accept another restless night as just how it is, let's talk about what might really be going on and what you can do starting today. Here's what often gets missed. Most men don't talk about it until it's already frustrating. That creeping discomfort, the urgency that comes out of nowhere, or the pressure that feels like your bladder's always one step behind. Maybe it started with the occasional pause at the urinal, or noticing you had to push a little more than before. Over time, those moments turn into routines, always knowing where the nearest restroom is, planning your outings carefully, hesitating to drink water before bed. But underneath all of that is a belief that it's just a normal part of getting older. And the truth is, that assumption can be dangerous. Not because the symptoms are life-threatening on their own, but because they become so familiar, we stop questioning them. One of the most common things I hear in the clinic is, well, I thought this just happens after 60. That mindset leads many men to ignore the early signals. But what's really going on beneath those signals is a slow buildup of pressure on your bladder, your sleep, your energy, and yes, your confidence. The changes feel subtle at first, but they chip away at your sense of ease, your sense of strength, even your freedom. So if you've been waking up more at night, noticing a weaker stream, or just feeling like you have to go more often than you used to, don't brush it off. These signs aren't just about inconvenience. They're your body trying to speak up, trying to protect you from something that doesn't have to get worse. And while aging plays a role, it's not the full story. In fact, there are 3 everyday habits that quietly feed this cycle, and knowing what there could be the turning point you've been waiting for. Let's get real about what's happening inside your body, because once you see the full picture, everything starts to make more sense. Your prostate is a small gland, about the size of a walnut, that sits just below your bladder and wraps around your urethra, the tube that carries urine out of the body. As men get older, it's common for the prostate to grow slightly. But that growth becomes a problem when inflammation and pressure make the gland swell even more, squeezing that urine tube tighter and tighter. It's like trying to water your garden with a kinked hose. You press and press, but the flow's never quite right. Now, what most men don't realize is that this pressure and inflammation aren't just happening on their own. They're being aggravated quietly by daily habits that seem unrelated. For example, when you frequently hold it in instead of going when you feel the urge, you're putting unnecessary tension on the bladder and prostate. Over time, that tension builds up like a backed-up dam. Or take constipation. A lot of guys don't see the connection, but straining on the toilet puts physical pressure on the same pelvic area, increasing inflammation and making the prostate more irritated. And finally, being too sedentary, sitting for hours each day without movement, reduces blood flow and lymph circulation in the pelvic region. That stagnation can lead to swelling, discomfort, and poor healing in the prostate. So what we're really talking about here isn't just aging. It's how the body responds to constant, low-grade strain. It's inflammation, it's compression, and it's preventable. These three common behaviors, delaying urination, ignoring constipation, and staying too still for too long, can quietly worsen symptoms that most men already find frustrating. But the good news is, if they're causing the problem, they can also be part of the solution. If these habits are left unchecked, the effects go far beyond just an extra trip to the bathroom. Over time, the bladder muscles have to work harder and harder to push past the obstruction the enlarged prostate creates. That constant overexertion can lead to bladder fatigue, where the muscles simply don't contract as effectively anymore. The result? A bladder that doesn't empty completely, which increases the risk of urinary tract infections, bladder stones, and a feeling of never quite being relieved. And the longer that pressure builds, the more it can damage the bladder's elasticity, making it harder to bounce back even if the underlying issue is treated later on. But the consequences aren't just physical, they're emotional, too. Waking up multiple times a night robs you of deep, restorative sleep. You might start your day already feeling drained or irritable. Some men even begin to avoid social situations, trips, or long drives because they're worried about finding a restroom. That creeping sense of limitation, of having to organize life around your bladder, can eat away at your confidence, independence, and peace of mind. And what's most frustrating? These problems are often preventable, but because they come on so slowly, they're easy to ignore until they've already disrupted your life. Most men don't realize they're at risk until they've been dealing with symptoms for years. Then one day they're faced with medications that come with side effects or surgery that feels intimidating, and they wonder if it all could have been avoided. The truth is, the body gives us warnings. Quiet ones at first, a little hesitation, an extra nighttime trip, a growing sense that something's off. And if we listen early, we can make choices that protect our health and restore our sense of control long before it ever reaches that tipping point. Here's the encouraging part. These three habits that silently stress your prostate, you can change them. And you don't need drastic overhauls or complicated routines. Just small, consistent shifts that bring relief and restore balance. Let's start with the most immediate. When you feel the urge to urinate, go. Don't hold it in. Your bladder isn't a steel tank, it's a muscle, and like any muscle, overstraining it wears it down. Going when you feel the signal protects both your bladder and your prostate from unnecessary tension. Next, pay attention to your digestion. If you're regularly constipated or straining on the toilet, that pressure is being transferred straight to your pelvic region. The fix? Add more fiber-rich foods like vegetables, berries, oats, and legumes into your meals. Drink enough water, especially early in the day, and consider gentle movement after eating, like a short walk. These changes help keep your bowels regular and reduce the buildup of pressure near the prostate. And if you've been relying on laxatives or ignoring irregularity, now's the time to address it head-on. It's not just a digestive issue, it's a prostate issue too. Lastly, let's talk about movement. You don't have to join a gym or run marathons. What your body needs are movement snacks, simple, short bursts of activity throughout the day that get blood flowing and prevent stagnation in the pelvic area. Stand up and stretch every 30 minutes. Take a walk after meals. Do light leg or hip mobility exercises at home. Studies show that regular movement improves circulation, lowers inflammation, and directly eases symptoms of BPH. So no, you're not stuck. You're not at the mercy of your age. You've got tools, practical, doable ones, that protect your prostate and reduce discomfort. And every time you use them, you take a step back toward comfort, control, and a body that works with you, not against you. This is where things shift. Because once you understand what's really going on and what's truly within your power, you start seeing everything differently. Those nightly trips to the bathroom, they're not just an inconvenience, they're a message. And now you know how to respond. You're not helpless. You're not broken. Your body isn't punishing you, it's trying to talk to you. And when you start listening, even in small ways, you create space for healing, for change, for peace of mind. What's most powerful here isn't just the science, it's the choice. You get to choose how you care for your prostate from this point forward. Maybe you set a reminder to stand up every half hour. Maybe you add more fiber to your lunch. Maybe you finally stop pushing through the urge to go. just because it's inconvenient. These are small acts, but they send a big signal that your health matters, that your comfort matters, that you're willing to work with your body, not fight against it. And you don't have to do it perfectly. This isn't about never sitting too long or always eating clean. It's about shifting the balance, about doing a little more of what helps and a little less of what hurts. And the results? They show up in how you sleep, how you move, how you show up in the world with more energy, more confidence, and a sense that, yes, you're in charge again. So wherever you're starting from today, whether these symptoms have just begun or you've been living with them for years, it's not too late. The body responds to care at any age. And your prostate? It'll thank you for every step you take in the right direction. Quietly, steadily, it'll respond. Because healing doesn't come all at once, it comes from paying attention. And you've just taken the most important step. So now, take a moment. Think about how many nights you've woken up feeling frustrated. How many times you've stood there, waiting, hoping, maybe even worrying if something more serious is going on. Think about how many parts of your day, your outings, your energy, even your relationships have been shaped by this quiet, creeping discomfort. You've carried it silently, like so many men do. But you don't have to anymore. This isn't just about symptoms. It's about freedom. And the truth is, you have more power than you've been told. You don't need to accept every ache and annoyance as just aging. You don't need to wait for things to get worse before you take action. Because the best time to start listening to your body is always now. With small, thoughtful shifts in how you move, how you eat, and how you respond to your body's signals, you can reduce pressure, improve flow, and sleep through the night more peacefully. You can start feeling more like yourself again. And if you're watching this and thinking of someone you love, a father, a husband, a friend, know this. Your care, your attention, your willingness to start this conversation with them. It matters. So many men suffer in silence, but they don't have to. This video, this knowledge, can be a turning point. So here's what I invite you to do. Don't just move on. Act on this. Share it. Talk about it. Look at your habits with fresh eyes. Choose one small thing to change this week. Because your health isn't just about adding years. It's about making those years feel good, comfortable, confident. And it starts with one decision: to stop ignoring what your body's been trying to tell you, and finally, to listen.